Hi everybody, welcome back. This is another video. This time I'm going to be talking about the Southern California Linux Expo and just sort of giving a recap of the experience at the expo, what it was like, and so forth. Just kind of talking about what the experience of going to a larger Linux convention is like for any of you guys who have not been to a Linux convention. Before I did, however, I want to just talk about a couple pieces of housekeeping, I guess would be the term for it. So the first one being, in case you have not seen the video already, I am doing a contest because we recently reached 200 subscribers, and I say we because you guys are much more a part of that than I am, being that I'm only one person and that there's slightly above 200 people on the channel. Also, I guess you guys like stuff about Linux phones because that video kind of blew up, at least by my perspective, and got, I don't know, the last time I checked, around like 800 views, which is cool, and that brought on a couple new subscribers, which is awesome. So anyway, 200 subscriber contest. I am giving away, as I have previously when we got to 100 subscribers, a Raspberry Pi Zero, which is an awesome little device, about the size of a credit card, and super, super tiny, about, literally yay big, runs on USB power, takes a little micro SD card, and can run Linux, can run BSD, can run, basically whatever you want, as long as it's not super intensive, because it's only like a 300 megahertz or 300 megahertz processor. And is it that? It might be faster than that. I feel like it might be a little bit faster than that. And it might be a gigahertz processor with just like a single core. I'll have to check. And then like half a gig of RAM. So the main thing though is that you're not using this as like a media center device or something like that. But it is great for tons of little projects. And also, it's really cheap, and so am I. So for a giveaway, I think it's a great thing because it's a really easy little system you can go ahead and use to set up as a little headless system, and you can go use that to play around in the lab and get started with Linux in a way that's very approachable and easy. So the way the contest works is you basically go over to the link that I will also have in the description, but you can see it down there, tiny URL, Y2EXGUI. The URL Y2X guy is just completely random. That just the fact that this is easy to pronounce just is a random chance thing. But basically what you do is you go to that link and you paste the URL of somewhere that you've shared one of my videos, right? So yeah, the idea is, the last time I did this, I didn't really think it through and just said like, hey, comment on the video, I'm going to give it away. And people did that, and it was great, and I was happy to do that. But then after the fact, I realized like, oh, this would have been a good way to get people to know about the channel. Is if you guys post somewhere, that gets me more viewers and more people in the community. So if you would like to go there, right now, as of the time of this video, there is one person who has done it. So they're in the lead. So, yeah, I'm not going to look up the name of the person immediately, but that's it. So the other two things that I wanted to do, and I don't generally do this, but I might start doing it kind of going forward, just because I thought it's kind of a fun idea, is to give a shout out. So the first shout out that I have is to Storm Z or Storm Z, depending on where you are, or just Storm Z, if you want to go read it like a normal human being. Who had a comment on Reddit that I came across with something that made me absolutely laugh out loud, like literally laugh out loud, and to the point where I was taking a sip of coffee and kind of almost did a spit take, like it didn't actually happen, but like it could have been bad. You may have shut down the channel. So I want to give a shout out to Storm Z, who said some very nice things about me and mentioned that he subscribed to the channel with like an actual account. I created an account to subscribe to the channel because he usually uses Newsbot. Dude, that's that's so nice. Like, you know, this channel is relatively new. I've had a few people say really, really nice things. This is one of the nicest things that I've seen. But then goes on to prove that this is a person that I could totally be friends with because they are absolutely hilarious. He then says he's such a lump of fresh hair when it comes to IT and tech channels. And a lump of fresh hair is something that I may put on my business cards because that is phenomenal. I love that line. So shout out to Stormzy. Thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for being an awesome person and being freaking hilarious, because that is a damn good line. So that's the first one. And then the other shout out that I wanted to give out to is to a new subscriber, brand new subscriber named Ralph Cramden, who was a bit upset initially by my Luke Smith is wrong about everything video, who, basically, saw the video, went onto it, apparently is a fan of Luke's channel, and said, is this guy seriously using Windows and talking shit about Luke Smith using Linux? Congratulations, your clickbait worked. I even commented. And the reason why I wanted to give him a shout out, and before anyone gets negative and says mean things about him or goes to his channel or looks him up or stuff like that, the reason why I wanted to give him a shout out is because Ralph is awesome. Ralph did something that very, 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 very few people on the internet are willing to do. And it's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed this experience on YouTube so much. I know that YouTube gets a really bad reputation about douchebags, but for whatever reason, I've gotten really lucky and just gotten awesome people. So I replied to it and saying, yep, it was a clickbait title. If you didn't watch the video, I talk about how he's wrong given my use case. I use Linux servers mainly, but have to use Windows because of work to use WebEx. And he replied a few hours after that and said that, I think I missed a comment in the screen cap, but saying that, fair played, he watched the video and then even subscribed. And there's so few people that are willing to question their opinion and be open to other people replying and then be like, oh, okay, cool. I was wrong about that. I think part of it might be just because I openly admitted that it was clickbait, and that's, kind of the point that he was making. But I just thought that was really, really cool. And that's the kind of people that we're getting on this channel. It's pretty rad. So yeah, back to this scale. First off, got a cool hat, Linux Foundation. That's always neat. I was in line to get a sweatshirt from the EFF, and I'm going to have to go buy that online because if you like the Electronic Frontier Foundation and have thought about getting their sweatshirts, I can attest to the fact that those things look super cush. Like, those are really, really, really high quality sweatshirts. Now, granted, they charge you like $70 for them, but really you're getting the sweatshirt for free. You're supporting the EFF. So I might have to go order that online because at the time I was trying to get one, they were running low and they had a decent line. But yeah, I had a really, really good experience at the Southern California Linux Expo this weekend. I had a really nice weekend overall. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go on Sunday because I went to a friend of mine's birthday thing. We went to a brunch, and then we went to the Museum of Jurassic Technology. And if you're someone who lives anywhere in Southern California and you like weird stuff, I strongly encourage you to go check out the Museum of Jurassic Technology, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure that it's run by a cult. The last time I'd gone there was like 10, 11 years ago, so like a really long time ago. And they were much more upfront about the whole, like, if you enjoy what you see, there are services available that you could come to after, kind of thing. And that part of it seems to be gone. But it's just weird. It's just a weird museum. They never explain what Jurassic technology is supposed to be. But if you live in Southern California, very, very cool. If you ever come out here to visit, and come out to LA, go check it out. And if you've never heard of it, if you live out parts of the country or the world, I bet they have a website or Wikipedia page that you could go check out and and take a look at, because it is all sorts of weirdness. So yeah, I wasn't able to go on Sunday, which I really was a little bit sad about, but it was a friend's birthday, and I was hoping to get there afterwards, but it looks like the exhibition floor closed at 2, so I wasn't able to go there on Sunday, and I was teaching on Thursday and Friday, so I didn't get the full convention experience. Basically, I just had Saturday. But it was a great experience. The convention floor, the expo where we were at, we had a table in the back, was really really nice. Got to meet some very cool people, some people that I had known previously through the Unix User Association of Southern California. Met some nice folks that ran a local SUSE community team, which would be cool because as folks who have followed this channel for a while, which is a cool thing that I can say, folks who follow this channel probably know I am a SUSE instructor. I teach classes for SUSE in addition to other stuff. And yeah, so it was cool to meet those guys, and they're a pretty small group of folks, but yeah, it was nice to meet all them and chat, and we had, good conversations. And yeah, just sort of walking around on the floor and seeing the different teams. I am a little bit sad. I realized after the fact that there was a second exhibition hall, so I didn't get to see the people that were in the other exhibition hall, which was sad because that's where the FreeBSD folks were, and I kept kind of sneaking off trying to find where their table were, so I could go ahead and see if I could get some BSD stickers or stuff, because I want to put those on my laptop. And but yeah, overall, really really nice. Great place to go meet with people. Great place for networking. I know a number of folks who watch this channel are early in your career and are interested in finding work, or, kind of moving on from your initial sort of help desk position, things like that. Going to something like the Southern California Linux Expo is not incredibly cheap, especially if you don't live in the area. But if you do live in the area, I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment. And I think that's the case with most Linux, sort of conventions. If you go to something like AWS conferences or like VMware conferences, those are much more oriented to enterprise, right? So they charge a lot more. Linux conventions, especially if they're community-driven Linux conventions like the Southern California Linux Expo or Linux Fest Northwest, or some of the other kind of big ones, they're pretty reasonably priced. It might cost you, I'm not sure. I think I paid, it was like $85, and that was with some vendor kind of stuff, so that I got that more or less comped. But I think that's probably about how much it costs to go and get the full access pass. I would definitely recommend getting the full access pass. I didn't get to see a bunch of talks because I was there sort of talking about teaching and different classes and things like that, and trying to drum up some business. But I would occasionally sort of sneak off and look in the conference rooms, and the technical talks that they have there are great. So let's say you were a junior admin, for example, and you wanted to go learn Kerberos, or Kubernetes, let's say. That's probably a better one. You could go set up something like Minikube at home, go through that, play with it a little bit, get the really basic kind of foundations, and then go somewhere like a Linux convention, and they're probably going to have a whole bunch of different talks. And by sort of having that be a focus, especially if it's a big technology that people are kind of pushing right now, like Kubernetes, you can get a pretty good education about the ways it can be used and some of the kind of advanced features of it. So that in and of itself can pay for itself. It's really good for training opportunities. And then just the networking pieces. So we had a booth set up, was for the vertical sysadmin folks, who I do a little bit of training through. And I think on the day that I was there for 6 hours, maybe something like that, 7 hours. And, people were coming up all the time, and just sort of chatting and saying, hi, what do you guys do? All you do training, cool. So I was actually looking for work, and you know, we talked to them about how training and stuff like that might be able to help in that. But it was a really good approach because there's a ton of different vendors at these things, and there's also just a bunch of people sort of generally. So folks were giving out business cards, they were talking to each other. So from a networking perspective, it's a really nice way to go do it, especially if you're somebody who's an introvert. One of the things that can be a little bit awkward is initiating conversation when you're trying to do networking. So if you just went to like a general purpose networking event, that might be a little bit intimidating for somebody who is new to this. Whereas if there's specifically a booth set up and people are waiting for you to come over and chat, that I think takes the barrier of entry down. So for those of you guys who are looking for work, who are trying to break into the field, I think that's a very good thing to go do. Also, it's a self-selecting group. If you pay to go to a Linux conference, and you show up there and you take the time to do that on a weekend, maybe where you could be doing other cool stuff and having a good time, that says something about you. So I think it's going to make employers consider you, as a potential candidate, even if maybe you were a little bit less qualified. That interest, that desire to kind of go out of your way and learn more, I think is a really good thing. So that's something to look at doing. And then I wanted to give I want to give sort of a plug. I'm not sponsored by these guys, and I have no real relationship to them, but I should have gotten their better context. But I came across a really nice little company. They were in the booth next to us. Called Think Penguin. And Think Penguin basically is a store, is a sort of a company that sells, kind of open source hardware / open source friendly hardware, free software friendly hardware. So the it just seemed like they really cared about what they were doing. They had a pretty wide range of laptops and sort of different hardware. So this, they have the Penguin J2 GNU Linux laptop, Penguin Z2. So they were a fairly small selection, but their sort of claim on things is they're not just going to sell you something that works right now, but something that will continue to work and then can be supported. So it looks like they also have support stuff. So they support the products that they sell, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of really interesting kind of stuff here, and they have accessories and things like that, which are pretty cool. So like a USB tuner that works, webcam that specifically works, printers that work, various different video cards and external sound card adapters, and just a bunch of different things. And I talked to the guys, and one of the things I asked about, just because it's an interest of mine, is support for FreeBSD stuff. And they said that they don't specifically have like a subsection that lists support for FreeBSD, but a lot of their stuff does support FreeBSD. And that if you're interested in getting something like a laptop for FreeBSD or some hardware, you can click on a lot of them and they will specifically mention things like FreeBSD support. Let's see if this one does. All right, so this one doesn't, but a lot of them apparently will specifically list the BSDs as well, and then you can also just contact them, right? So I thought I had the page up. So this is Think Penguin. Yeah, not a plug. I liked seeing this. This was really cool. This is the I forget what it's called. It's the card-based computer thing that was kickstarted a little while ago. But let me see if I can go. Yeah, the Eoma 68. So this is basically the device that they sell these little sort of compute cards, and you can put them in a laptop or put it in a desktop or whatever it was. And, supposed to be modular, easy to fix. And then like all of the horsepower is in this little card, so you can go ahead and replace that. So the theory being that every few years, if you need to go upgrade, due to performance reasons or memory or things like that, you just upgrade the card, and then the rest of this device doesn't just get thrown in the bin. So cool idea. And it sort of shows a little bit about who they are, being that they, have that thing on the front page. And, it looks like, you can't just buy these directly from them, right? They're kickstarted. So the fact that they would put another company's product on their front page because, from a philosophical standpoint, they like it. I just thought that was really cool. So there's no plug, but if you're looking for a new laptop, check all the standard kind of sources. Go on eBay, look at a ThinkPad from a couple of years ago when they still had good keyboards and were repairable, and then go look at the Purism guys and look at Pogo Linux and all those good folks. But I think Penguin might be another one to look at because I haven't heard of them, and they're pretty cool. So that's, I think, basically the kind of the recap of the Southern California Linux Expo. And I think the big sort of takeaway that I wanted to give you guys is look for a similar kind of convention in your area if you've never been to one. And I think that if you haven't had a chance to go to one, regardless of whether you have a job now or whether you're looking for work, I think it's a really good investment of your time, right? Even if you don't necessarily specifically want to be a Linux administrator, the guy that I was sitting next to on the other side, and I forget the name of his company, but he was a nice guy. I got his business card somewhere. He was a hiring manager for basically they make like accounting software. It's not like Quicken or something like that, but it's another sort of, I guess, industry specific accounting software company. And he was just talking about like, man, we really need to find more people for DevOps positions and for more, kind of Linux, people and sort of with the right kind of qualifications, and just sort of, talking about how like they were specifically there because they were hoping that they could find good candidates. So it's not necessarily like a job fair per se, but I think in a way that's a good thing. If you go to a job fair, there's going to be a lot of people applying for the same gigs. Whereas if you go to something like a Linux convention, then you're going to get a lot more desirable ratios in terms of the number of people submitting or talking to hiring managers or folks who work at companies than you might elsewhere. So that's something to consider, something to think about. And so I'll be back with another video on Sunday. We'll talk about some stuff. I got a couple different ideas for what that video might be. I haven't decided exactly what it's going to be on yet, but thank you guys so much for watching. Again, as a reminder, I would love to give that little Raspberry Pi Zero to somebody. So please feel free to participate in the contest. No pressure to do it if you don't want to, right? The channel has been growing at a reasonable rate, and I'm here for the long term anyway. So this is just to thank you guys mainly, right? 200 subscribers is a big deal to me, so mainly to thank you, and then also it's got the side benefit of being able to get a few more people knowing about the channel. So I'll shut up. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So thanks again.